Yo. Right. I'm going to make this as simple as I can. The fundamentals. This is it. Combining release and closure. When people try to compress, they typically compromise release. So how do we learn to combine release and closure? This is the simplest exercise that I've come up with to basically help you figure out how to establish release and then close down on that release with some gentle closure. And then you build off this platform to more squeeze, more closure, whilst never allowing yourself to drop out the mouth. Yeah? This is the key distinguishing thing between people that can sing easily and freely and people that maybe can sing easily and freely through 75% of their range, but the other 25%, they want to push, they want to yell, it feels confusing, they're not really sure why it doesn't work. Never compromise release when you close down the chords. What I mean by that is I can talk here, and when I go it's all in the same spot, and that's universal across your range. So as we do this, it's just there's a split of resonance. You'll hear and yeah, we want to maintain that split. As soon as you go drop out the mouth, then you know that there's something wrong. So make sure you're hearing on every time you close down combined. That will prove there's a split of resonance. If you can't get it with the mouth open, close the mouth completely until you can get it, and then try and open the mouth gradually until you can get yeah, you hear a very even split of resonance there. It's 50-50. Half half That's the split you're always looking to maintain when you come down. Now, you won't necessarily get the exact 50-50 split every time, but as long as you've got some and some generally speaking, you're going to be roughly in the right spot. It's when we isolate too much we've got no ability to tilt up towards pharyngeal. That will help you. Now, what is this exercise? All it is the goo, gee. They help you to establish release in that heady quality with some closure. Goo, 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 yeah? Goo, 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 goo. Release, but with very little compression. Now that helps you to close down on that release. So when we sing, we have to find closure and release at the same time. But when we train, we can actually work them in isolation. We can establish release first. And then once we've established release, we can then find some closure. And that's what we're doing there. We establish release with the gi, and then with the we then establish some compression on top of that release. So it helps us, because it's two separate functions, we're able to work them in isolation. It gives us kind of a kind of leg up. It gives us like a stairway up towards that sensation of release and compression at the same time. Rather than having to just find it out the blue, we've got a little trick to get us in there in the right spot. Yeah? So there's a purpose to these exercises, and if you get me to explain them, those purposes, you'll understand. Some exercises can sound very abstract and almost totally functional. It's like, well, how on earth does that have any application to singing? Well, the answer is usually the case that we're working on function. We're working on isolating and activating specific muscle groups, helping to make that isolation and activation very efficient. Yeah? And that's why voice training can get very functional at times, because we're purely focusing on isolating muscle groups, activating them whilst keeping everything else relaxed. All these kind of very, in some sense, quite mechanical type functions. They're not artistic, they're not creative. It's just, how do I use my voice easily and freely to the point where I don't have to think about any of these things. I don't have to think about the mechanics. I don't have to worry about the function. Yeah. Ironically, the most functional mechanical singers, in terms of their approach, are usually the most free and have the ability to be as expressive and communicative as possible, because they don't have to think about technique anymore. The worst singers have to constantly think about their technique. They have to be constantly making adjustments, trying to figure out how can I get this to work, rather than just performing the song. Yeah, that's what great artists do. They perform the song. They're not thinking about technique. Now the question is, how do we get to the point where we don't have to think about technique? And the answer is, we drill technique to the point where we are the right muscles are working utterly in a completely isolated way. They are able to work independently of one another, and everything else is able to relax. And at that point, we just let go and basically hold on for the ride, man. Anyway, this little exercise can help you. Release first, then compress. See if that two-stage process helps you to find without the yell, which is the vocal cancer for people, will constantly confuse you. When you compromise release every time you close the chords, you'll always have that sense of either having to sound kind of legit fluty, disconnecting falsetto, or sound heavy and belty but feel like you're hitting a glass ceiling all the time. That's it, man. Enjoy your day. Bye. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you want my help personally, you can book a one-on-one training session. Drop me a message. My email is in the description. And if you feel like this message was of value, then please feel free to make a donation equal to that value. Again, donation link is in the description. And finally, please share this video with other singers you know. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in another video. Bye.